Hey everybody, welcome to today's video where I put in the supply side of the plumbing. Now it's important to note that I am not a plumber. I average doing plumbing about once every 10 years, so I'm trying to figure it out and remember as we go. So don't do what I do necessarily. Take it under advisement, and if you've got helpful hints and suggestions for me, leave them in the comments. I won't be offended. I'll actually really appreciate it. Thanks. Let's get going. Alright, so one of the first things we're going to do is cut a hole in the bus for this Valterra water inlet. So I measured the back there, got myself a square. I already had that hole where the stop sign went through there, and so it kind of could go anywhere, and actually probably more convenient to put it down here, but rather than cut two holes in the bus or try to patch that one, I might as well cut that one out. So that's the plan. Hopefully this fits perfectly. It does. So one cool thing about this kit is it comes with the screws and the butyl tape and a whole bunch of other stuff. So that's pretty cool. I bought this vent actually for the refrigerator that I'll put in later. That didn't even come with the screws to hold the vent cap to the base. So very polite of them, I think. Huh? We'll peel this off. Ready to start some of the rough plumbing. It's kind of started up there a little bit. I'll go over that in a little bit. But we're going to start the beginning, I guess, here, the supply end. And I've laid everything out and all the fittings I think that I need, and we'll see how it goes here. Put it all together. Got a PEX crimper, some crimp rings, a PEX tubing cutter. Got some PEX hose. For this side over here, since there's so much half-inch stuff, I've got a couple pieces of half-inch that I'll use, but this part is 3/4. I'm just using it because I had it laying around, so I wanted to use it up. So, I mean, most stuff's going to go in half-inch, and we're not going to use a ton of water. So, I mean, half-inch is plenty, I think, for most RV applications. Again, I'm just using the 3/4 because I had it. All right, let's get started. Alright, so to use this PEX Crimp Tool, just get some PEX tubing and put a ring on and insert the ring down to the end of that little fitting. Then I got a both 1/2 inch and 3/4 spot. So it's in there and squeeze. Proof done. Got the other side already rigged up. So much easier kind of doing this out in space. Like that. And to cut tubing to length, use a handy dandy PEX cutter. Whew. Like butter. Hook up these threaded connections, use this Teflon tape, wrap it on. Supposed to wrap it on clockwise so that as you screw stuff on, it sort of screws itself on rather than off. Kind of like the wire. This is my sediment filter. There. Alright, so this is what we've got here. That's the space I'm working with. Here's my free tank that I got. It's all hooked up. Well, not really, but kinda. And that's the space I need to put. I got a filter here, sort of just a coarse one, Cavaciani sort of gravel. I got the SureFlow pump and the accumulator, which again you fill with air once you've got well, you put some air pressure in it once you've got everything hooked up, and that way it maintains pressure without the pump having to cycle on and off all the time. So I kind of wanted to put it on the floor, but the pump says you can't have an elbow or a check valve within 2 feet, and I need to come here and then under there to feed the rest of the bus. So I'm gonna have to have an elbow. So the only way I could not have an elbow is if the water flow went that way and up, I need an elbow. So I have to put it here so it will run across there without that elbow in it. So I screwed, so just kind of loosely tack these on here. I got the screws kind of long, but that'll hold it. So I'm going to secure this to my frame there, and then we can finish hooking things up. Okay, moving on to mounting the shower faucet. And so I just got this Delta one. It's got this app, actually. It's kind of cool. It kind of guides you through the process, but listening to the woman, the computerized voice, it almost sounds like a robot. But
flush the system by slowly turning on the water supplies to purge the valve body of debris. When finished flushing the system, shut off the water supplies.
So first thing you're going to do is this little tab. Break that off. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the mounting bracket at the back. It makes it easier to get the Teflon tape onto those water inlets. Alright, so it says up, that's going up to the shower. Got our cold and our hot water. This is going down to the tub, but we're in a bus. I got no room for tub, so there's a piece I can cap that off later on. But I'm going to wrap all these with some Teflon tape. Again, going clockwise. Then I got these PEX adapters. Screw those on. Uno. Dos. Tres. Use my hose pliers to tighten those up a little bit. You don't have to be super tight. Plus they say that, you know, obviously the plastic is not as hard as the brass, so you don't want to break the plastic. came this little cap you can put on to where the shower would, where the bathtub would go. Probably tighten this up a little bit more aggressively with a real wrench, but this is the one I have on hand, so. There, got all those connections on. Okay, now the directions say that you can take this plastic thing off, and it's the spacing, it's really kind of a spacer because you want the outside of this flush with the finished wall, and eventually I envision this going to be tile. So I need a 1/2 inch of the backer board and then the tile. So I set this board in 3/4 of an inch so that can mount flush. But I'm going to leave this plastic on because I don't really see any reason to take it off. And also, you can unscrew this piece and take out this cartridge inside. And I think the rationale behind it is that if you're doing if you're replacing a faucet, that you want to flush out all any like corrosion and gunk that's inside the pipes, so it doesn't foul up that new cartridge. But this is brand new construction. I don't have any gunk in the pipes. They're brand new, so I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to put my mounting bracket back on if I can do it without losing screws. Actually, in retrospect, I take that off because looking at these holes, it's harder to get the screws in there. So I took that black plastic piece off, just unscrewed it, and now figure out sort of exactly where that's going to go. I think I'm going to have my shower stall as close as I can over here, but I need enough room to get my pipe in on that side. So let's try that right there. There. Now I'm going to run our water up to here and there. It's all easy to access. I loosened that up a little bit. Trim that to just the right length. Actually, it's pretty close. Let me just take a little bit off it. Oops. That's not good. And then this is called a drop ear elbow, and it's going to go up the top here where the shower head will go. Hopefully that's high enough. I got a little room that maybe I can add a piece on there, but I guess for now I'm just going to put it on there. But I think I've learned in this process sometimes it's easier to put the PEX on when it's not attached to things. How long of a piece do I need? Alright, so now I'm going to shower, scrub, rough plumbing anyway. Okay, we got most of the rough plumbing done. Just got to get the hot water heater in, and that looks like it's going to be a project, so we'll postpone that for now, but mostly because curiosity gets the better of me. I'm kind of want to test out the system a little bit as much as you can. So I doing some gravity fill on our tank here. Doesn't seem to be leaking anywhere so far. It's good news. So the thing I did was I hooked up the plumbing, the pump to a switch. So I just hit that switch. I don't know if it's really that necessary. It just seemed like would be a decent idea. So I ran the positive to one pole, you know, the power coming from the fuse box into one pole of the switch, and then the positive from the pump going into the other pole of the switch, and then I just wired the two negative, you know, the two ground wires together, and so that should work. I'll let a little bit more water get in this tank, and then we'll flip the switch and see water goes through. I'm going to check for leaks. I don't really have the, you know, the way to, I don't have pressure test valves to test everything, so we'll see if I remember to turn all the valves off, and we'll just check to see if there's any leaks and then drain it, see how it goes. Alright, so a tour of the system. This is the gravity fill, this is the vent, and then this is the city water that comes down to a check valve, comes down, elbows there, and then tees into this, and then the gravity fill comes from out here into a check valve, to a shut-off valve, up to sort of a coarse filter, the pump, the accumulator, and across to here. This is going to go be the cold water feed up to the hot water heater, and then this is going to be also a bypass for cold water. This is going to be the hot water feed. Runs in behind that wall out to what may eventually be a little tiny sink here. Those valves are off. Into the bathroom, and then to the shower up there, and then into the kitchen sink right there. Those valves are off. That valve's on. Those valves are off. That valve is off. That valve is on. Well, what do you say? Hit the switch, see what happens. Hopefully water should be coming into that at some point. No water's flowing, and I'm not really sure why. We'll do some troubleshooting. Well, I figured it out when I had to relocate the pump from down there, and I thought it'd be brilliant to hang it this way, but now I've got the direction going the wrong way. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to flip that around so it's going the other way. Alright, as a temporary solution, I just spun the pump around, but now I'm gonna have to mount some sort of post, I guess. Here is I guess the easiest way. Fix that, I don't know. Let's hit the switch now and see what happens. Yep, water just went up through there. Going through the bucket there, that's good. We got a leak. Well, that's two dumb things I've done. Turned out to be a pretty simple fix. I just forgotten to crimp one of the rings. I crimped it, and I think the leak stopped. Although I immediately found that switch was really useful for the pump. So I don't know, maybe that was one smart thing. One smart thing I did and two dumb things. But I don't see any leaks. I don't know if that's leaking. I haven't got that going on, but that's just spray from the original leak. Everything else is looking pretty good. Another thing I'm supposed to do is put pressure in the accumulator. So it says it wants to be the same as the pump kicks on, so at 30 psi. So I want to put 30 psi into the accumulator, and it said do it while the pump is off. So I flipped the switch off, and open one of the valves. So I've got that done, and I got my tire gauge. So let's put some air in the accumulator, test it, and then see if how that happens, how that impacts the pump cycling. Alright, I get about 35 pounds in there. See how that goes. Alright, here's my solution to the flipped around pump situation. It ain't pretty, but I think it's gonna work. Alright, so that's the rough plumbing install. May do a whole separate thing on the water heater. That looks like a different story, but we got the sink coming in a week or so. The faucet's in, of course, but the sink isn't, so I think tomorrow's project might be... Tomorrow might tackle the water heater, or it might work on countertops. We'll see what the mood strikes me. Hey, thanks a lot for following along and the support. I certainly use it on a day like this where things always don't go according to plan, and I'm really not that confident in what I'm doing all the time. So feel free to give me any hints and suggestions in the comments, and I certainly appreciate it. And I will see you next time.